FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Westfield, it is 6:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, a smiling Pete Coles. Good morning,
Good
Pete.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm awake and I got a good night's sleep. That's a wonderful thing.
You know what? It is a good thing. So today is September 19th, so we're zipping through September, heading toward October. It's hard to believe. I'm not ready to give up summer quite yet, but
we'll have one good week during the Big E. That's what usually happens. We have one warm couple of stretch of days. Yeah. I was great. I was dreading covering a finance meeting yesterday. It was 22 minutes. I was like, phew.
Wow.
Yes.
That certainly has to be a record for the finance committee.
Yes. There was only like 3 items on the agenda.
Say they must not have had much to talk about.
And Councilor Alley had to go to another subcommittee meeting because they were short, and the only way to form a quorum is he had to go.
So it was see ya.
22 minutes. We were in and out, and planning board was at 7. I was like, bye.
Okay. See ya. Zipping right along here. All right, so let's see. Weather today, it is 66 degrees right now. It's a weird day. I mean, it's humid, but it's cool. Going up to just 72.
Yep,
so
72,
it should be
73, mid-70s.
Beautiful. Yeah, it should be good.
Can open the windows
Sunny
today and vent the house.
Yeah, they said it's like early morning fog, but then it's going to burn off. And just so I'm hoping the humidity will be down a little bit today.
All I know is I went to Tech and parked my car yesterday and walked back out to my car, and the water was over the tops of my sneakers.
Oh, that's right. It was all the flash flooding.
Deluge.
Yeah. Well, of course, here's what we did. We got the weather alert at around 11 o'clock yesterday morning for flash floods. Yep. So we were supposed to have our Viewpoints low vision support group at 1 o'clock. And Agnes Fleming runs that. So, I went into Agnes. I said, look, I don't feel comfortable with this because obviously it's a low vision group. They don't drive, so they have to have, get transportation. So now you're adding extra people. And the last time we had flash flooding, we closed Noble Street. The police came and closed Noble Street because it was the whole street flooded.
Doesn't drain very well.
Yeah, it doesn't drain. So we canceled the group yesterday, and Agnes called everybody, made sure everybody was doing okay, and said, we'll see you next month. And of course, then the sun came out. So,
Well, yeah, that's what they said was going to happen once the remnants of the hurricane blew through. But
I didn't expect it to happen as fast as it did. I thought it was going to be, like dinner time-ish or after. Not.
Yeah, but still, if the road's flooded, it's not going to drain any faster.
No. Yeah, it did. They didn't, and all was well, but that's okay. So,
traffic alert this morning.
Yes,
Washington Street is going to be closed from 7 to 5.
Okay,
they're ripping it up, getting ready to pave it.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah,
there's
I saw that.
There's a signboard on Franklin Street, but there's nothing out on
And they've also
Court
done
Street.
a wonderful job. Thank you to Patrick Berry, our good friend over at the Westfield News, of posting that. They had that on the front page the other day about the Washington Street closure. So, so stay away. Okay, so Pete, September is National Courtesy Month. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. And I have some songs second hour.
Sorely needed in this country right now.
It is sorely needed, and that's exactly why I decided to go this route. So September, try these 7 ways to celebrate National Courtesy Month without breaking the bank. So none of these are going to cost you any money. First of all, volunteer. Volunteering is a great way to support a cause that you care about without writing a check. Whether you're interested in a long-term commitment or only have time to give a single afternoon, you can make an impact. And, we hear that all the time.
Couple hours.
I don't have time to volunteer. One event, few hours, so helpful. So don't feel like if you're volunteering, it has to be for for forever and 8 hours a week. Say please and thank you. Hello, please and thank you are the first manners that many of us learn. But do you still say please and thank you as an adult? Say thank you when someone does something nice for you, like hold the door at the post office. Add a please to the end of your morning coffee order, or a thank you to the waitress for great service to pass along the positivity. Practice gratitude. A gratitude practice can be transformative as it floods your mind and body with positive emotions. When you show gratitude to people, you can light a small spark of kindness that boosts their mood. Be an active listener, another way to celebrate National Courtesy Month. Listen when other people talk to you. Really listen. Avoid thinking about what you might add to the conversation and instead focus only on the other person. By listening actively without interrupting, you can demonstrate your engagement in the conversation and give the other person the opportunity to really feel heard. When the other person stops talking, then you can reply. Treat someone. You don't have to buy someone a cup of coffee to treat them. Share what you have with someone who would appreciate it. Bake something low cost like brownies and bring them to work to share. Or take a book that you've read and offer it to a friend who might be interested in the topic. So treat someone. Give a compliment. When's the last time you complimented someone's outfit or appreciated their talent? A few seconds can brighten someone's day. And finally, let someone cut. Cutting is seen as negative, but people have legitimate reasons for rushing. If you see someone who can't wait, let them get ahead of you in line. And you know what? I have to say, that happened to me twice in the last 2 weeks where I was at, one time I was at Big Y, the other time I was at Stop and Shop. And, I didn't even have a cart. I just had a couple of items. And, the person in front, I got in at the back of the line, and the person right in front of me turned around and looked and said, "Oh, get in front of me." They had like a whole cart full. And I said, "No, that's okay. I'm not in any hurry." No, go ahead. You only have 1 or 2 items, so.
Yeah, it's not going to hold me up that long. I do that in traffic.
It's nice.
When I see that there's a long line or 2 lines,
yes.
I let one car in.
Yes.
I don't let everybody in because that'll annoy the person behind me. But I hope people behind me do the same.
I do the same thing, Pete. I'm like, listen, everybody watching, take note.
Yeah.
I'm going to let this person in, as my friend says, make like a zipper. You go, and then, let the guy in behind you. But I think that there used to be a commercial not that long ago within the last 2 years.
The only exception, though, that make is when you've been notified that it's going to like a lane closure in a highway for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
And people are zipping up and they're going to cut through.
That's the only time I make an exception to that rule because you should have known better.
Exactly. But, there was a commercial on within the last couple of years, and it had to do with, it was all visual. There wasn't any dialogue exchange, but it had to do with people, kind of doing that, holding a door open for somebody. And I don't even remember what the commercial was for, so that's usually not a great commercial, but in this case it was that that chain of events of somebody did something nice for somebody, and then you see that person do it, and there were probably 6 or 8 clips of people down
it's
probably
down
the
Pass
line.
It On series,
something like that.
A PSA, the Pass It On.
I loved it. I thought that was such a great commercial because I think that we all just need to do that, just a little kindness, and again, just something simple. Let somebody cut in front of you, or just give somebody a compliment. Oh my gosh, I love your glasses, or I love your shoes, or where did you get those? And kind of makes people feel good. So,
Sure.
So National Courtesy Month. So, All right. What time is it? Oh, we have time for some birthdays. 6:10.
Yes, we do.
All right. So famous birthdays today. We
weren't long in the tooth at the beginning of the show.
That's true, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Joan London, talk show host, news anchor and journalist, is 68 years old today. She was born September 19th, 1950. In Fair Oaks, California. Joan London was hired as a trainee for KCRA's news department in 1973 out in California. By 1975, she was a weather person, a reporter, and an anchor for the station. That year, Joan London left California for New York City to take a job at WABC. While it was not the smoothest transition, London eventually found her way and even began contributing consumer reports to ABC's national program, Good Morning America. In 1980, she joined Good Morning America full-time as a host with David Hartman. In an odd twist of fate, and this is kind of interesting, London and her husband, producer Michael Krause, were also expecting their first child when she took the job at Good Morning America. She helped break new ground by openly talking on air about her pregnancy, and then she ended up doing many segments on parenting. Joan London was a host on Good Morning America for almost 20 years.
Yes, she was.
So
and now she's
birthday.
advocating for seniors like her mom and everything.
Yes,
I think she must own a piece of that company.
Yeah, there's like a home care company that she's
I can't
remember what it is.
The right elder care for your parent.
Yep, exactly. And yes, and I believe that
she must own that or a piece of it.
I would guess. But God, she looks fantastic for 68. She's holy smokes. All right, it is also the birthday of model Twiggy. Remember Twiggy? Do you remember Twiggy?
I do remember Twiggy.
Young?
No.
Twiggy was born September 19th, 1949 in London, England. She's 69 years old today. She was born Leslie Hornsby. She wasn't christened Twiggy back in the day. With her thin build and wide eyes, Twiggy became one of the world's first supermodels and face of London's swinging 60s mod scene. Mm-hmm. She has also made numerous appearances on television, and her films include The Boyfriend in 1971 and The Blues Brothers in 1981. More recently, Twiggy appeared as a judge on America's Next Top Model. And it's so funny because she looks fabulous today. She looks really great.
Really?
But yeah, she really does. But it was funny because I remember at the time, I mean, she had absolutely no figure. Well, that's why they called her Twiggy. She was completely flat-chested. You know, she was kind of the opposite of, sort of the voluptuous models. Just very short, very small, almost looked a little malnourished.
Probably.
But, just really hit that London scene. So happy birthday to Twiggy. It is... I knew Pete would have an audio for me on this.
Had to.
It is also the birthday of the late Adam West, actor born September 19th, 1928 in Seattle, Washington. He died on my birthday on June 9th, 2017, the day I turned 60, at the age of 88. Adam
he was
West,
still in TV at that time.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He was the mayor of Quahog.
Oh, I didn't know that.
On Family Guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Mayor
so they did say that he did the voiceover. So Adam West got his start in Hollywood in the late 1950s. He soon landed what became his signature role in Batman, portraying the crime-fighting superhero during the popular television show's run from 1966 to 1968. West's career suffered a turndown as he battled typecasting issues, but he enjoyed a resurgence alongside the revival of the Batman franchise in the 1990s. And Pete's right. He later delivered voiceover work for the animated sitcom Family Guy. And
he was Mayor Adam West.
And the Disney feature Chicken Little. So happy birthday to the late.
He played himself on Family Guy. That was funny because he was Mayor Adam West.
Oh, that is funny.
It's very funny.
It is also the birthday of talk show host, comedian Jimmy Fallon. He was born September 19th, 1974 in Brooklyn, New York. He's 44 years old. Jimmy Fallon first started performing stand-up comedy in high school and later dropped out of college to pursue his comedy career. In 1998, Jimmy Fallon landed his dream job joining the cast of Saturday Night Live.
I don't know if you saw this series, but... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say...
Get to the later show.
Okay. A subsequent attempt at a big screen career stalled, but the comedian found success as host of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon beginning in 2009. He debuted as the new host of The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon on February 17th, 2014. So happy 44th birthday.
Have you ever seen this
Jimmy
series
Fallon.
they do on the web?
No.
The band Roots and Jimmy Fallon. They get together a small room and they play with classroom instruments popular hits. So this is Adele. Let's just take a listen.
It's really pretty good.
And they tape it with a webcam. So like a little xylophone.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it.
Actually, if you want to, if you're at your desk and get about 5 minutes, Google classroom instruments.
Classroom instruments.
Jimmy Fallon, and you'll laugh your butt off because they played some big songs.
Okay, will do, Pete. So, and for those of you listening and watching on Channel 15, you can do the same. Run to your computers, Google classroom instruments, Jimmy Fallon, and finally, I thought this one was really interesting. I always try to throw one famous birthday in there of somebody who you're going, who's that? Well, it's the birthday of the late Elizabeth Stern, physician, pathologist, and scientist. Elizabeth Stern was born September 19th, 1915 in Ontario, Canada. She died on August 18th, 1980 at the age of 64. Pathologist Elizabeth Stern earned her medical degree from the University of Toronto in 1939 and then went on to study at the Pennsylvania Medical School. In 1963, she joined the faculty at UCLA's School of Public Health, and in 1965, she was promoted to a full professor. While working at the Cancer Detection Center, Stern became interested in cervical cancer and devoted the rest of her life to studying its causes and development. Through her research, she found that cervical cells go through 250 stages as they develop from healthy cells to cancerous. Identifying those stages made it possible to detect cervical cancer before it reached an advanced stage, making it highly treatable as a result. Before Stern's discoveries, cervical cancer was almost always fatal. Stern also discovered a link between oral contraceptives and cervical cancer. So, for women, that's a huge, huge breakthrough. So I really wanted to mention that and honor this woman because that was huge. Just understanding the progression of these cancer cells allowed for treatments for cervical cancer. And that is...
Well, it allows for detection.
Exactly, detection and then treatment. So huge, huge breakthrough. So we honor the late Elizabeth Stern, physician, pathologist, and scientist on this, her birthday. And she died young at the age of 64. So anyway, all right. What you got for me, Pete? It is 6:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. So we have two guests this morning coming up. Hopefully he's on his way listening in the car as he parks in the parking lot here at Westfield State is our resident primary care physician, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace. And then later on, second hour, we're going to be joined by Chad Moyer. Chad is the owner of this really interesting, it's a gym in Southampton, primarily for people with Parkinson's disease. It's called DopaFit. It's really, really interesting.
I think that's the one that did Greg Heath introduce you to this guy?
No, Roxanne over at the Westfield News introduced me to Chad. And Roxanne and I went up there and took a field trip. She met him through the paper somehow.
Okay, because I know Greg's been going to him, I think, for a while.
Okay, yep, don't know. But anyway, we are going to play the theme song for Dr. Akinyele, which is...
Just walked in the door.
Yep, there you go. So it's The Doctor by the Doobie Brothers, and we'll be back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com. Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:24. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. It is Wednesday, September 19th. It's about halfway through the month, and we are zipping right along, heading toward fall. Days are getting...
week into the Big E.
Yes, we are almost a full week into the Big E. Now, Pete, have you been over to the Big E yet? Or is
yet,
not
no.
yet? Yeah, no, I have not either as well. And so, of course...
I don't have enough money yet to go to the Big E.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Tomorrow's payday, right?
Well, if you donate blood, you can get a ticket.
Oh, really? Is that how you do
I
it?
have tickets.
That's how I
It's
do
about
it.
the money that you spend when you're in there.
When you're in there, not the tickets. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
have been saving my money for the fried butter.
Yeah.
Like
I'm just
No,
being
you know
honest,
what?
guys.
They have a
fried butter.
It is
Oh,
fantastic.
God.
Burnat's Deli over in Chicopee has a kielbasa chili that I want to try.
See,
Oh,
now you're
that
talking
sounds
about-
kinda good,
That actually
actually.
sounds like it might be healthy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
Interesting,
go
yeah.
to state fairs for any of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to try it.
I want something that I might have to take an aspirin for
And
afterwards.
then Moolicious has something really good, and I can't remember what it is, but he was explaining it to me, and I was like,
Yes.
I got to try that.
Okay, so that third voice, that sultry voice that you hear is our resident primary care physician, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, who joins us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Lovelace.
Good morning. It's good
And
to be
so,
here.
and you go to state fairs to just completely let loose.
I mean,
it sounds
I
like.
want to eat something that I can't normally find
That
or
you
buy.
wouldn't-
Right? Like that's why I go.
You will
Pie
not
kicking.
normally.
I
yeah.
do.
Like
Like
turducken.
yeah, like turducken, fried Kool-Aid, deep
fried
fried
Kool-Aid.
Oreos. Like
Deep fried Oreos are good.
thank you. See,
They're good.
like I'm going like
It's a treat.
I want to have an experience. Like I want to have something or try something that you just don't normally see.
That's true.
The crazy burger.
Yeah, like I want to do something crazy. Like that's why I
You know
go
what
to
that
these
is,
things.
right? The crazy burger.
No, I have no idea what that is.
It's a bacon
This is
cheeseburger
not
on
my
a
thing.
glazed donut.
Yes.
That
in a glazed
sounds
donut.
See, now that's-
absolutely disgusting.
Now that's what
It
I'm
actually
talking
works.
about.
You're
It
eating
works.
you're talking to a salad eating person, so that there is absolutely no appeal to that for me. But okay, I get it.
I try to
Quesadilla
be adventurous.
burgers.
I try to be adventurous
Okay,
because
well, okay.
I mean you go
There
to
you go.
these events because you want to like ride the rides and you go on a food experience.
Yes, there
Sunday
you go.
supper keg tots.
That sounds
Pot
good.
roast patty melt.
Well, pot roast patty.
I don't know what
sounds
New England
decent.
nachos are, but I might want to find out.
Okay.
See?
All right. Okay. So it is Big E time for
See?
those
Deep
of you
fried
who-
Pop Tarts this
There
year.
you go. Now you're talking my talk.
Yeah.
Deep fried corn on the cob. These are
Oh,
the new foods at
that
yeah.
could be interesting.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
frozen martini.
Well.
Well,
well.
that's that's
I was going to
pretty
say, I think
routine.
you can probably get a frozen
Yeah, we can
martini
do that.
at other places.
Yeah.
How about a
So-
nacho sundae or a dilly dilly dog?
Well, a nacho sundae has no appeal to me. The dilly dog, it kind of depends on what we're talking about here. All right, so yeah. All right, so Dr. Lovelace, let's talk about the girls. We always start with talking about the girls.
That's it. I lost him. He's done.
Yeah, he's done. He's gonna be over here. Okay.
I've got to figure that out.
All right, so
girls are good.
the girls are good.
Back-
School
everyone's
has
back in
everyone's
school.
back in school. So
Everyone's back in
we had
school.
so now where are they grade wise? Who's where?
We've got second grade and kindergarten.
We have kindergarten.
Yeah, that's good fun, right?
Yeah,
that's
good
fun. So it's good. It's good fun for everybody now. So we're having a great time. We're doing outdoor sporting events now, which is awesome.
Oh, we've taken on the old outdoor sporting. So what are we doing?
Wished that on me.
Your dad wished that on you, as I did as well.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. And it goes, and and so let's talk about that.
Soccer and tennis so far is what we're doing outside.
Oh,
so that'll be pretty cool at the municipal courts for tennis, which is pretty cool. And then soccer. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how soccer goes. And there will be a time when you'll be as my brother used to call that.
Cats.
My brother called it herd ball.
Yeah.
It's like there's the ball, and there would be like 9 kids following the ball. Like nobody knows anything about playing positions. It's all just follow the ball, and it's this big
everyone
group
just kicks it.
Yeah, everybody just kicks it as fast and far as you can.
Occasionally, will just kind of just bop out into the stands or pop out to a parent, and I try to protect the parent from getting kicked. So it's but it's good fun. It's good fun because it's those opportunities where you learn how to interact with a team, or you start that kind of conversation.
Absolutely.
So I like that. So I'm having fun.
And you know what? It's good exercise and it's fresh air, and that's my thing. It's like they're outside, they're running around, they'll sleep well.
You are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct, and we do notice that, so I always look forward to that. So as long as it's not raining on us or freezing cold, but
that's football or soccer.
Well, no, it is. Well, they are playing soccer, but when they're that exactly when they're that little, they kind of keep it fun and short, and not too crazy. So I will tell you what you have to look forward to as the girls age. So mine is now 27. So I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version of this. So a couple years ago, Grace decided she was going to move to Florida, just as she's young, she's not tied down. It's like, okay, that's fine. So we pack her up and help her to get down to Florida, and she's down there for a couple years, and then she decided that she was going to move back up here, and of course decided to do that this past summer when it seemed like everything in Gary and my life was turned topsy-turvy. Okay, that's fine. So we fly down there on Labor Day weekend. Gary and I flew down. We shipped her car back. So she loaded her car with a bunch of stuff, and we shipped that back. So we fly down there, and the plan was we're going to rent a Suburban. We're going to help her pack up the rest of her stuff on Friday. We flew down Thursday night, pack up her stuff Friday, load the car, start heading back north on Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Okay. So, it sounds like fun so far. And here's the thing. Grace said, well, she goes, look, Mom, there are 3 of us. We're all adult drivers, so we can switch off on the driving. And we were gonna spread it out and just stay overnight along the way. And so forth. That sounds great. So the first thing is we get to the airport. We go to rent the Suburban. And Grace wasn't with us. And I had said to her, give me a photocopy, scan me a photocopy of your driver's license. I'm going to need that. Well, no, she actually needed to be there to sign off all the car rental forms. So that meant she couldn't be one of the drivers. So it was just going to be Gary and me. So I texted Grace and I said, this kind of stinks, but you can't drive. So her comment is, okay, well, don't worry, Mom. I'll keep you and Dad awake for the trip. I said, okay, that sounds like a great plan. So the next day, we go over to our apartment. We get her all packed up. Of course, we're in Florida. Labor Day weekend. It is like 98 degrees with about 1,000% humidity, right? So we get the Suburban. And the Suburban is huge. And we thought, Gary and I looked at it empty and said, oh my God, we're gonna have room to spare. No, there was not 1 square inch to spare. So you couldn't even see out the back window. You had to use the side mirrors because everything's okay. Car's packed up. So we start heading back north on Saturday, and it takes Grace all of about 15 minutes to be completely sound asleep in the car. Yeah, because we left at like 5:30 in the morning, So we come back, and what she was doing was, as we were crossing state lines, she was because it was like 11 states to get home. Yeah. So we crossed the state line, and Grace would be like, okay, 1 down, 10 to go, 2 down, 9 to go. But we had to wake her up when we were crossing the line. Like, Grace, wake up and take a picture so you can post it. So anyway, that's all fine. So we get her home. We get home on Labor Day, so that's a Monday. We dump all of her stuff in our garage. But now she's going to live in Plymouth because that's where she had started out. So 5 days later on Saturday, we rent a U-Haul truck, load up all the stuff in our garage, drive out to Plymouth, unload it, get her into her new digs and so forth. So, and then she has a new job. She started her new job yesterday. She was all excited. She had all that planned from when she was in Florida. So, life is good. Last night I get the phone call. hi, Mom, you want the good news or the bad news?
Uh-oh.
So I thought, well, my first thought was, oh, my God.
This is breaking news
yes,
on WSKB.
Yes, exactly. It is breaking news on
nice.
WSKB. Gary barely, I didn't even know how to tell him this. So my first thought was the job, but it wasn't that. She goes, well, she's renting a room in a house. And the woman had the house on the market, took it off the market because she didn't have any buyers, had told Grace, and she's renting out to a couple other students, and it said, probably next summer I'll put the house back on the market. So just so you know. So what happened was she took it off the market. Grace goes, she has an interested buyer who's private. He heard about it through somebody, so it's not on the market. But of course so she's gonna do the showing on Sunday. Oh. So Grace said, so the bad news is, I've been here for a week. We just got her unloaded. We've just packed up this kid. I can't tell you how many times we packed it.
How much would it cost to hire movers?
Well, I said, you know what? But here's my thought was I was telling
this
to Karen Noblett and Mary Lou at work yesterday, at the senior center, because I got the phone call late in the afternoon and they were still there. And as I'm talking, I'm saying, okay, she has plenty of friends out there. So I'm thinking she got some strong guy friends. So my thought is, Gary and I will rent the truck. We'll go out there and just provide the supervision with Grace. And it's like, you guys do all the loading. I'll pay them. It's like, who wants to make, a few bucks, a couple of hours to get her wherever she's going to go. So I said, well, what's the good news? Well, she goes, the good news is my job. I love it. She's going through training. So that's all good. So, that's all good. So I said, you know what, Grace, that's the most important thing. But Gary just looked at me and he said, I can't do this.
Yeah,
he said, I can't do this, but that's what you have to look forward to. Yeah,
thank you.
Good kids.
Oh, thanks.
Good kids. She's a good kid. Your kids are great kids, but
hopefully they don't get married in the same year.
These are the things that are. I don't even want to go there. Don't even want to go there. All right. So now that we've caught up on all our family stuff, we do have a topic today.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, but our topic today is remember that September is self-improvement month, and we started talking about that a couple of weeks on the show. Gary and I talked about Dr. Gorman when he was on 2 weeks ago. We talked about the importance of vacations and taking time off and travel and just doing some things for yourself to rejuvenate. We are going to talk about, Dr. Lovelace and I are going to talk about being yourself and just kind of accepting yourself and kind of running with what you have to work with. So that's our topic for this morning. And toward that end, our song for this break is "I Gotta Be Me" by Sammy Davis Jr. So let's take a listen.
Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, whether I find a place in this world or never belong, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. What else can I be but what I am? I want to live, not merely survive. And I won't give up this dream of life that keeps me alive. I gotta be me. I gotta be me. The dream that I see makes me what I am. That faraway prize, a world of success, is waiting for me if I heed the call. I won't settle down, won't settle for less, as long as there's a chance that I can have it all. I'll go it alone, that's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be free. I've gotta be free. Daring to try to do it or die. I've gotta be me. I'll go it alone. That's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be free. I
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Thursday morning from 6 till 8, it's Patrick Berry, owner of the Westfield News Group.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:39. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And our resident primary care physician, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, with primary care with Family Medicine Associates in Westfield. It is the pink building that looks like it belongs in Miami, Florida on Route 20.
Tubbs, get the car.
There you go. Straight out of Miami Vice. Okay, so Dr. Lovelace, we are talking about be yourself. So let's talk about that. What do you think?
I think that's a really important concept to take in, especially in healthcare, and especially when we're talking about how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah.
And being comfortable with ourselves. A lot of times in the office when I'm talking to patients, sometimes the biggest hurdle is being comfortable in your own skin and then accepting who you are and being okay with that. And I find that a lot of times we are comparing ourselves to other people, and it's not realistic.
Yeah.
And I tend to, even personally, I personally deal with that. But I think overall, in general, from my perspective, I try to allow people and try to encourage people to consider the fact that you're going to have to be okay with where you're at and enjoying that moment, and not looking at what tomorrow is going to bring it to a certain extent. And where do I see this in the majority of my experience? I see this a lot of times when we talk about weight and how we view ourselves from a weight standpoint. I talk about it in regards to our mental health. And how we sometimes tend to want to compare ourselves to other people. Yeah. And I think that is the biggest hurdle sometimes to overcome, and saying, you know what, listen, I'm going to be okay today. And I'm just going to take today for what it is. And I'm going to enjoy that moment and find that solace in there. The other times, especially with mental health, is also appreciating the moment and not worrying so much about it. And I think a lot of those who suffer a lot of times from generalized anxiety, that's also a big hurdle to kind of just be okay with understanding that I'm all right today, and that, I'm going to do something for myself that's going to make me comfortable and relaxed and try to move forward. And so from my perspective, it's a very important topic that I think we overlook. And a lot of times I put this into self-awareness, and kind of understanding the fact that, how I fit into this entire aspect of just being a person living in this community, and how my health is important on that, or how that impacts it is a tremendous thing. And so the more and more we continue to talk about it, I think the better off we'll be.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we are bombarded with media, telling us, how we should think, how we should look. It's different now than it was, back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. They didn't have television. Now we've got, not only do we have television, so we have all the, the ads and the young and the thin. And there's so much that we're bombarded with in terms of what makes us a sort of a valuable person in the media's eyes versus in reality.
Could be something as simple as your spouse is never happy with the way you look or the way you are, or you keep trying to compromise and you lose yourself in that process.
Yeah. Well,
correct.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And I think when we're looking at images, and I think images and the images that we bombard ourselves with are important. And we're also having issues a lot of times for certain generations, even with social media. Yeah. And that we're trying to find validation in social media, and I think that is also a problem.
I agree with you.
I think that there is something to that where you actually you might be posting something about yourself or how you might look, and if you don't get enough likes or favorites or however people want to validate you in that scenario, you kind of feel some kind of way, and I think that that's also a problem, because once again, we need to kind of take some of the digital aspect out of our lives a little bit, and really start to just communicate with each other and find value in that once again. And so I think those are some other issues that we tend to kind of deal with when we're talking about self-love and self-enjoyment and self-fulfillment. Those things kind of actually start with yourself, and they don't start with anyone else. And that's an important concept to kind of take in.
And I think it also starts internally. We really get involved in the, how do I look, as you said, whether it's your weight or you're bald or you're gray or you're wrinkled or you're, whatever it is. I mean, there are all kinds of body images that people have. And being yourself, it really has to do with from the inside. What are your strengths?
Yeah, and what do you bring
it to the table?
What are you telling yourself? The funniest thing, and it's so interesting. My mom would remind me of these things, and she'd go, the person that you talk to the most is yourself. So I hope within that course of that conversation,
that's really interesting. I've never thought
Amen
of
to that.
Yeah,
no, it's true.
Within the course of that conversation, do you tell yourself nice things? Like. Are you nice to yourself? Do you tell yourself pleasantries? And so have you said something nice to yourself today? Yeah. And if you haven't done that, or you had to think about that, then that's a problem, right? Like that's a real problem. And so it's funny. I sometimes overplay it, and I'll say how beautiful I am, or how how gorgeous my long flowing hair is, even though I'm bald, right? Like I play on that, but I think that's an important exercise, right? Like going through that exercise of feeling good about yourself is something that you have to practice. It's not something that comes innately. Some people do have just that gift of having that confidence about themselves where they just walk into a room and they own it, but a lot of other people don't necessarily have that. And so it's actually an exercise, and it's not being arrogant, it's not being conceited, it's just having that kind of love of yourself, and that is actually something you have to practice, just like being in a marriage or playing in a sport. And I think those exercises are extremely important to kind of process.
But if you don't do something like that, then the flip side of it is you can gain weight or bad habits.
Because you fall into almost that victim, well, I'm no good anyway, so what's the difference?
Why bother?
Kind of, why bother kind of a thought. So here, listen to this is really interesting. So we're in the process, the personnel director, Jane Sakowitz, and I are in the process of hiring a building maintenance craftsman for the senior center. So we've been doing interviews, and whenever I do interviews for any of, our new hires, I always ask this question toward the end of the interview. What are your 3 greatest strengths? What do you see as your 3 greatest strengths? And I am sometimes stunned by the reaction. I mean, I have some people who can just rattle off, like highly motivated, hard worker, strong ethic, whatever it is. I had one person recently on one of the interviews who said something like, I always come to work on time. I said, okay. And then that was it. And then he stopped, and I thought to myself, really? You can't think that's sad, that you can't think of, because I don't, it doesn't even have to be job related. Well, you could say, well, I'm a great dad, or, I'm a dedicated mom, or whatever it is. But, I think one way to kind of view this today is, sort of being yourself and seeing your self-worth is just ask yourself, what are your 3 greatest, what do you think your 3 greatest strengths are? I mean, some people can rattle off 10, which is great. Because I think it's kind of the same idea of what you were saying with your mom.
It is.
What are you telling yourself about yourself?
That I have long, beautiful blonde hair.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But that's important. That's so important to tell yourself that.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a short break as we talk more about the importance of being yourself during this September Self-Improvement Month. As it is 6:47, you're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses, and this is one of my favorite songs. It's Frank Sinatra singing My Way.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my Yes, it was my way.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
He rules the roost on Thursday from 6 till 10. It's Patrick Berry.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:53. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. It is Wednesday, September 19th. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
And our resident primary care physician from Family Medicine Associates, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace. Good morning again, Dr. Lovelace.
Good morning.
So we're talking, September is Self-Improvement Month, and we've kind of been talking throughout the month about ways to improve yourself. And today's topic is Be Yourself. So let me just read you something to kind of summarize what Dr. Lovelace and I have been discussing. So start today to be yourself no matter how much pressure you feel. Pressures from the traditional media, social media, and peers can make us feel inferior. Sometimes low self-esteem can happen in childhood if you were picked on or bullied. For many, this continues through into adulthood, stifling confidence. Make the decision to build confidence today by accepting who you are. Self-love doesn't need to be just two pretty words. It can be a reality. Confess that you are whole and making progress. Tell yourself you can achieve wholeness despite disappointment or a painful past. Taking small steps to rebuild self-worth always pays in the end. If this is a struggle, talk with a trusted friend or a professional. And I think, one of the things that I do want to talk briefly about is the fact that when we're having this conversation about being yourself and accepting who you are, that doesn't mean that the journey for growth stops and improvement, because accepting yourself kind of means I'm accepting myself, my strengths as well as my weaknesses, but those weaknesses are things that I need to work on.
Yeah.
So I think that, because I don't want people to say, oh, well, okay, I'm, yeah, exactly. I've got all these horrible health habits and, well, that's me, No, accept it, but also know where your areas of growth are.
Yeah, like I tend to remind people, I say, you're where you're at today because of your actions yesterday.
Sure.
But what you do today is going to be the person that you're going to be tomorrow. So so work towards that person. And you might have setbacks, but on your day-to-day consistent basis, work to becoming that person that you're going to be. And if you really are looking forward to becoming that person, well make sure you're doing those things in today to really impact, to make sure that that's a healthier person. You can't fix what you did 5 years ago. Like, we can't do anything about that.
Right.
But we can work with what we're going to see next week or a year from now. And so I think that's the encouraging part about doing it. And then the self-love comes with making sure that you're taking care of your body and your person. And when you do that just exudes itself, and over time you start to see the benefit. And so I think the instant gratification that some of us look for, we sometimes have to be a little bit more patient with ourselves. It's not like just you can turn on a television and we've solved the world's problems in a 30-minute clip. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit longer than that.
Sure.
And I think if you can be patient enough to kind of just to continue to enjoy the process and working through the process, it'll be very fulfilling at the end.
Yeah, it's interesting because I love that you use the word process, because I always say that. It's like, I'm a work in progress here, but, it's a process. But I also like the word journey. It's kind of like, it's this journey that we're on. And
you're on it till the day you're pushing up daisies.
Absolutely. But I think, we were talking off air, and I think it's important to just kind of mention that as we're wrapping up this session, that it is important to surround yourself with people who also recognize you as a worthwhile individual, and are encouraging you and supporting you in that journey.
Correct.
Because a lot of times others can see your strengths that you can't even see, and that I believe that even as an employer. I mean, I have 12 or 13 people that work for me over at the senior center. And I just sent my staff a memo. We're switching around some positions and people are moving in different places, partly because I can see strengths in them that they don't even recognize in themselves. And I'm saying, this is one of your strengths. You'd be better doing this job over here, which will really play to those strengths. And then we can work on this other stuff. So I think, it is important. And I think, Pete, you were the one that had kind of mentioned, if you're surrounding yourself with people that are sort of telling you, oh, you're not that good looking, or you're not that smart, or you're not that talented. You start to believe that nonsense, as opposed to somebody...
Because it gets reinforced all the time.
Sure, as opposed to somebody who's saying, well, you're not that talented here, but holy smokes, look at what you can do over here.
Right.
That's, like I look at Pete and say, he speaks a language, this technology stuff that I don't even understand. So to me, he's like my tech guru, and I tell people that. It's like, I got my tech guru on speed dial. But if I don't tell him that, he doesn't know that. You know what I mean? So I think it is important to surround yourself with people that are going to remind you of how important you are.
Yes.
You think?
I would agree 100% with that.
Okay. All right, folks. It is almost 6:59. Again, just for your weather today, for those of you who are preparing to go out the door, it's 66 degrees, only going up to 72, so it's going to be a nice day. Was it sprinkling when you came in at all, or good?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yep.
It was like a sunny...
Sun is coming out.
The sun was coming. There was a little bit of dew in the grass.
Beautiful.
It was a picturesque fall day.
Perfect.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh, pumpkin spice latte time.
Oh, my gosh. I don't drink coffee, but I'll do yes, but it's pumpkin time, so I'll do pumpkin. I'll do pumpkin.
All right, so for the plug, there's a Dunkin' Donuts in the basement.
I'm already there.
Pumpkin tea.
They open at 7.
Pumpkin. Hey, I noticed I was at the shortstop last week, and they have pumpkin beer on the menu, so it is fall. It's they'll do pumpkin beer with the cinnamon and brown
Christmas
sugar.
stuff will be out next week.
Christmas is on its way.
Oh, then we can play the Christmas can song.
No, I mean it'll be in the stores next week.
Exactly. Well, that's why we'll play the song. That's right. But that's why we'll play the song, because remember they said it's not even Halloween and we got the Christmas stuff out. All right, it is 6:59. You're listening to WSKB. There's Pete's negative sign.
Buzzer.
All right, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, thank you so much for coming in this morning. Thank you for talking about being ourselves as part of Self-Improvement Month. 7 o'clock, you're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. When we come back, we have some announcements to make before our second guest comes on.
Thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM. Radio for the Westfield Masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
All right, so we have a guest coming on at around 7:15. So we have a lot of announcements to blow through.
All right, get going.
All right, here we go. So I know I feel like who was it? Chris Berman. Remember Chris Berman used to do
Fastest
60 seconds in sports. All right, here we go. Stay tuned. So first of all, I'll do the senior center announcements first. We are doing flu shots at the senior center for those who are 60 or older, and you have to be a resident of Westfield. We're partnering with the health department for this. Joe Rouse and company, Deb Mulvena, Cassie. They were all on my show last week. So the flu shots are being offered Tuesday, October 2nd and Wednesday, October 3rd from 1:30 to 3:30. You do have to make an appointment, and I will tell you, if you want to do this, they are free. You have to just sign up in advance, and you have to bring your insurance card. However, I checked with my afternoon greeter, Linda Murphy, yesterday, and she counted. We only have 8 slots left. And I believe it's on the second day. I think Tuesday, October 2nd is already all filled up. So if you want to get a flu shot this year for free through the health department, you need to contact us at the senior center at 562-6435. I suggest you contact us today because I have a feeling by tomorrow we won't have any slots left. Okay, so that's announcement number 1. Very important announcement number 2, because these tickets are also going super fast. The Friends of the Westfield Senior Center are doing a fundraiser this Sunday. The concert is Sarah the Fiddler.
Do you want lightning round music?
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's all right. 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the Westfield Senior Center. I don't, Pete.
Okay.
I can't. I'll get all messed up here. The tickets are $5. All tickets are being sold in advance. We don't have that many tickets left. So again, if you're interested in this, this is sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Westfield. So we thank the Kiwanis Club for their sponsorship of this fundraiser concert.
George was talking about that. It's going to be a big show.
Yeah, it should be really good. We have some door prizes. We'll have a 50-50 drawing, and everyone's going to get an ice cream sundae to go. All proceeds will benefit the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center. The public is welcome, but again, we are not selling tickets at the door, and tickets are selling very fast now, folks. So please get your tickets. I don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want people to come out on Sunday afternoon and say, "Oh, I really wanted to hear I love Sarah the Fiddler." Come down, get your ticket, $5. And again, it's this Sunday at 2 o'clock. And thank you so much to the Kiwanis Club. Also, coming down the home stretch on this for deadlines, the Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Program. I am accepting applications. The deadline for that is Thursday, September 27th at 4 p.m. That is a week from tomorrow, folks. So if you requested an application packet and I gave it to you or mailed it to you, please make sure that you complete it. Call me, set up your appointment, because you can't just drop the completed application off. You have to actually make an appointment with me, because I have to do a criminal background check and just to get copies of your taxes and all this other good stuff. If you would like an application, again, you've only got a week now, folks. So give me a call at the Senior Center, 562-6435. I will get you the application packet. You will have to fill it out lickety-split and get it back to me. This is where you will do 43 hours of community service for the city of Westfield in exchange for $500 off of your property taxes next year. There are income guidelines and some other guidelines. You have to be 60 or older. You obviously have to live in Westfield and be willing to do a background check. So if you're interested, give me a call. Also, next week on my show will be Vanessa Diana from Westfield State University.
It's almost that time again.
She is the race coordinator for Run Stanley, and Hillary McEwen, who is in the development office over at Stanley Park. Run Stanley will be held on Sunday, October 14th, and this year we have added to the adult run, Canine Run, and Munchkin Run, and we have added our Senior Stroll, which was my brainchild last year. And
I got to come up with some music for that kickoff.
Yeah, that'll be really great. So we are forming our Senior Stroll team. So you can register with Mary Lou Najalski, our program director. The registration fee for seniors for Run Stanley is $15, and you will get your wonderful Run Stanley t-shirt. So that's really great. we're supporting our beautiful Stanley Park. So we had a couple of us went up to, I took a couple of the strollers up there last Friday to do a little photo shoot. So we have Barbara Martone, who is our co-captain with Mary Lou, and Barbara Coleman will be walking. Irene Lansing will be walking. Irene is Irene is legally blind and has a guide dog. So Yoshi was up there. So we got Yoshi in the picture as well, her black lab. My sister-in-law, Donna Schaefer, will be walking. So, join the team, folks. Register with Mary Lou at the Senior Center. We're trying to get lots of strollers up there. The October is going to bring to the Senior Center, we have a program that we're really excited about. We're offering this to the public. We're going to have Michelle Alex from the Registry of Motor Vehicles at the Senior Center on Wednesday, October 10th at 1:30. And then Michelle will be at the Athenaeum doing the same program at 4 p.m. because it's a program on the new driver's license, the real ID driver's license versus the standard driver's license. There's a lot of confusion about why you would want to get one over the other. And what you would need to get the real ID. There's a whole different set of documentation that you need. It's much more involved than it used to be with just renewing your license. So Michelle Alex from the Registry of Motor Vehicle will be here from Boston, from Department of Transportation, to sort it all out for you and explain what you need, why you need to do it, what the benefits, the advantages of the real ID over the standard driver's license. And this is actually national, folks. This is federal guidelines, new regulations. So, again, that will be Wednesday, October 10th, and I would encourage you to attend. And again, it's open to the public. If you have kids, grandkids, whatever, at 1:30 on that day, and they want to learn about it, just have them come over to the Senior Center. Also, coming up in a couple of weeks, the Athenaeum will be presenting their first Thursday concert series starting October 4th at 1 p.m. The entertainment will be Ukulele Scramble, and it features the funny, entertaining, and masterful duo of Robin Hoffman and Richard Perlmutter. And we're calling this Dine and Dash at the Senior Center. So if you'd like to come and have lunch at the Senior Center, you can do that at noontime, and then get over to the Athenaeum for the 1 o'clock concert. There should be plenty of time for you to do that. So that's coming up, and those concerts are free. And of course, lunch at the Senior Center is $3, and it is first come, first serve. You can get your tickets first thing in the morning. And have a nice little afternoon of, a nice meal and a nice concert, and the whole thing's going to cost you $3. You can't beat that. Okay, now on to other things going on throughout the city. So first of all, I wanted to announce that Western New England University, the law school there, is hosting a legal help hotline, which they do periodically. This is going to be tomorrow, Thursday, September 20th, from 4 to 7 p.m. And this is where you can call this hotline and just ask any legal question that you want. If you have something going on, whether it's like a landlord-tenant type thing, mortgage, housing, credit card, whatever it is, whatever legal question you have, you can call the hotline and you will speak with a local experienced attorney free of charge. It's presented by the Hampden County Bar Association in conjunction with Western New England University School of Law. The number is 796-2057. Once again, that number for the legal help hotline tomorrow from 4 to 7. The number is 796-2057. And we do have that flyer posted at the Senior Center in the foyer. As soon as you walk in, just look on the bulletin board if you need that. Also, Armbrook Village is offering a program called Paying for Assisted Living. So if you'd like more information on how to pay for assisted living, that program is being offered on October 3rd at noontime, and there's actually a light lunch that will be served. So you do need to just let them know that you're planning to attend. You can call Julie Wanuski at 568. This is Armbrook Village's number. It's so easy. 568-0000. That's it, 568-0000. And just say you'd like to sign up for the program on October 3rd at 12 noon. You'll get a light lunch. And they're going to be talking about how people can pay for assisted living, and will, just give you a better understanding of how that's done, what's included in the monthly rent, what are the different pricing structures. It's not one size fits all, and is assisted living the right fit? So that'll be with over at Armbrook Village, our friends over there. How about this one? Robert Hullivan threw this one at me the other day. Robert is on my Friends of the Westfield Senior Center board, but he's also very active and on the board for the Friends of the Westfield Athenaeum. They are going to be having a used costume jewelry sale at the Pumpkin Fest.
Okay,
which
I didn't know about that one.
I sort of believe that. I think every organization is going to be represented.
Didn't say that.
Yeah, very interesting. So it's going to be a used costume jewelry sale at the Pumpkin Fest on the green. Just look for the tent, noon to 4:30. So what they're looking for, if you have clean, unbroken costume jewelry that you'd like to donate for the sale, you can drop it off at the library, at the main circulation desk at the Athenaeum, anytime during regular library hours through October 6th. So for the next couple of weeks. And I just, I was telling Mary Lou, I said, I think that is... Yeah, it's a great idea.
Box.
Absolutely. Because sometimes, ladies, sometimes we buy a piece of costume jewelry to go with a particular outfit, like for a special occasion, a wedding or something. And, 5 or 10 years later, you've gotten rid of the dress and now you don't have any real use for this piece of jewelry.
If it's not sentimental and you haven't worn it in 2 years, it can go.
There you go. Pete, you're right. You're right there with me. That's usually my rule of thumb when I clean out closets. It's like, well, have I used this in the last year?
Like I have a couple of shirts that are over 10 years old. That's, polos that are sentimental.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. All right, going with back to our friends at Armbrook Village. They have their memory chorus, which will take place next Wednesday, September 26th at 2 p.m. The memory chorus takes advantage of the therapeutic benefits of singing and socializing and wraps it up into a fun and inviting afternoon. And they also have next week, they do the memory chorus and the Alzheimer's support group on the same day. It's always the last Wednesday of the month. So the Alzheimer's support group is next Wednesday at 6 p.m. And you do get a light dinner and a chance to share your personal experiences and strategies for communicating with your loved one. So if you'd like more information, again, the number at Armbrook Village is 568-0000. And here is something from our friends at the Governor Center, Pete. So this is also tied into Pumpkin Fest because everything in Westfield lately, I think, is tied into the Pumpkin Fest. Okay. So Governor Center is saying, hey, we've got something to crow about. They're holding their first annual Scarecrow contest. So you can stop by and pick up an entry form at the Governor Center, and they'll give you all the guidelines. All proceeds raised will go to the Forum House in Westfield. So you want to register and display your scarecrow at the Governor Center starting on October 11th, because they wanted to have some that would be out there for the Pumpkin Fest. So if people wanted to wander down from the green, and if they're going to be going over to Bay State Dental to their yard to do pumpkin decorating, I think, Pete? Yes. Is that what they're doing at Bay State Dental? And then right across the street, down a little ways, is the Governor Center, so you can do you can see all the scarecrows. So you better believe that the Senior Center we're going to have an entry. We're going to do a scarecrow. I gave this to Mary Lou and to Agnes Fleming, Mary Lou Najalski and Agnes, my program people. I said, all right, come up with our entry. So they put their heads together and came up with some of the seniors that they thought would be great at helping with this project. So,
cool.
You can be a family, you can do it as an individual, you can do it as an organization. So how fun to dress up a scarecrow, and they'll be displayed out on the Governor Center. So if you'd like more information about that, you can call Governor Center at 562-5464 and tell them that you want the guidelines for the Scarecrow contest. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And while you're calling the Governor Center at 562-5464, if you'd like to volunteer, they're also looking for volunteers. So they're going to be coming on the show hopefully next month to talk about what they need. Where am I? Is my guest not
yes.
here? Oh, he is here?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we'll do just one more announcement, and then we'll take a short break, and then Chad Moyer is here, so that's great. Perfect timing. All right, how about this one? Beards and Brews. Pete, have you heard about this one?
The 350th fundraiser,
350th fundraiser on October 23rd.
I'm going to have to cover that one.
5 to 9 p.m. at the Tin Bridge Brewery. Is that the new one on East Main Street
right
that you went to?
Big Y, yep.
Yeah. Okay, so
I might have to actually cover that one because I want to see this because doing research, they found out that a beard competition was in the one 50 years ago. The 300th
Oh,
birthday.
that's where we talked about that on the radio show because I'm thinking, where have I heard this beards thing before?
Yeah, it was part of
that's
the 300th.
That's what it was. It was part of that. Yes.
So they're bringing it back.
All right. So this is tickets available online, $20 each, includes one brew, awards and prize ceremony. Contest is free. Event ticket required to enter. So this is the 350, and you can go to the Westfield350.org.
Yep.
And then you can
find it off
click
of there.
on,
Yep.
Yeah, and there are all kinds of other
Kenny
things.
does a good job on that website, so
okay,
you should be able to find it easy.
Excellent. It is 7:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, remembering that September is National Courtesy Month, so my next 3 songs at the breaks are all about please, thank you, but the first one is one of my favorites by Tim McGraw, Humble and Kind. Take a listen.
There's a light that glows by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. When childhood stars shine, always stay humble and kind. Go to church 'cause your mama says to. Visit grandpa every chance that you can. Won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Oh, the door said please, said thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Don't hold a grudge or a chip, and here's why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. Know the difference between sleeping with someone and sleeping with someone you love. I love you ain't no pickup line, so always stay humble and kind. Oh, the door said please, said thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When those dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. When it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle. Shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let that summer sun shine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around. Help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:24. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. It is Wednesday, September 19th. It's going to be a nice day out today. It's high 60s right now, going only up to about 72. So it's really going to be nice. Sun is shining. Dr. Lovelace said the sun was shining when he came in.
It's fall.
Yeah, it's fall, and it's starting to feel like fall. So it's a good thing for those of you who are done with the high humidity and the high heat and so forth. I'm joined this morning. Pete Coles, producer Pete Coles, chairman of the board, remains with us this morning. So good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And my second hour guest is Chad Moyer, owner of Dopafit, which is a Parkinson's Movement Center. So this is a really interesting, very different topic from anything that we've had. So welcome, Chad.
Thank you.
And I met Chad through Roxanne over at the Westfield News, and she kept telling me about this place that I had to go visit, and so Roxanne and I took a field trip up to the Dopafit. So before we get into the program, Chad, and what you're doing up there and so forth, when I have a new guest on, I always start with some background information. So let's talk a little bit about who you are, where you're from. Now, did you grow up in this area, or are you an implant?
I'm an implant.
So you're an implant.
Yeah, so I grew up in Seymour, Connecticut.
Oh, my gosh. Now, where is Seymour, Connecticut?
So the best way to describe it is it's past Hartford, past Waterbury, before New Haven.
Okay.
So you can essentially get there off 84.
Okay.
Maybe you got to go all the way down 84.
Okay. So grew up there. And so how did you kind of segue or venture up to Massachusetts?
Yeah, so what brought me to Massachusetts in the area was American International College. I went there. I was studying, getting my master's degree in occupational therapy.
Now, what was your bachelor's in?
Public health.
And where was that from?
So I'm now finishing all of that at AIC. Okay. So what I did is it was a bridge program. So I had originally gone to college. I played soccer at St. Thomas Aquinas in Spark Hill, New York. I got an injury. Kind of took a lapse from school, got into different things, and then I re-entered to get my degree for fitness.
Okay.
I did that, and I'll segue into kind of where I got started into what I'm doing now.
Sure.
So I was working in the fitness industry. My mother had lived with Parkinson's disease. Okay. Unfortunately, she passed away at only 55 years old.
Wow.
And after that, I kind of, I went into a depression, to be honest, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. All I knew was I hated Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear the word, nothing to do with it. And I really don't know what happened, but one day a switch went off, and I said, you know what? Instead of sitting here and resenting Parkinson's, it was consuming me, really, this hatred that I had for it. I figured, why don't I try to do something to better people's lives who are living with Parkinson's disease? So the first thing I did is I ran the New York City Half Marathon, and I raised money for people living with Parkinson's disease, for what was at the time the Parkinson's Disease Foundation. And the more I got involved, and I just saw the amazing community that there was, and then I learned that exercise was the best thing that people living with Parkinson's disease could do. So here I was, an exercise specialist and found out that this is what I can do to help people. So I really started to research, got into the field, working with people living with Parkinson's disease. I said, I want to take this even further. And that's when I went back to school, and I was going to get a degree in occupational therapy so I could help people in different disciplines as well, not just on the exercise front. Well, in the meantime, I had spoke at a support group in Westfield, and there was a need for resources for exercise here in the community. So I started what was a group class for people living with Parkinson's disease. The first class had about 3 people in it.
Wait, now, where were you doing that class?
Yeah, so I was extremely lucky. I connected with a woman in Feeding Hills who was a friend of a friend. She had a gym that she was using. She let me rent the space from her. I was doing a class once a week. And we developed, and that 3 turned into 15. And then she, the woman who ran the gym, Lindsay, became pregnant and said, I'm going to take a step back, and I'm not going to have the space anymore.
Sure.
So it was a scramble for us to try to find our own space. And that's how we actually ended up in the Eastworks building in East Hampton. So, and then from there, it went from 15 to 20 to 25, and it kept growing. And then we realized that we needed a bigger and more accessible space. The Eastworks building was great to us, but it isn't as handicap accessible as we wanted.
Yeah, it's not super accessible, especially for individuals with Parkinson's.
Yeah, and being on the second floor didn't help either.
Well, there is that.
Yeah. So we ended up looking for spaces, and we found the space that we're in Southampton now.
Yeah, which is very accessible. It's a wonderful space.
Yeah. We were very, very excited when that opened up, because there's a lot happening in the area, but there's not a lot of free spaces in the area.
Yes. So Chad, before we get into what you do and the exercise piece of it, maybe you could just, some people don't have an awareness of maybe some of the symptoms of Parkinson's. I think everyone's heard the term. But I think there are people who don't exactly know what it is. Can you kind of walk us through sort of the anatomy and physiology? And clearly you saw some of this with your mom as well. So
so the biggest thing that I like for people to understand is that it's not just having a tremor.
Right.
Everybody thinks that, Muhammad Ali, very strong tremors, that's what we equate to the Parkinson's disease. And my mother was one of them who really didn't have much of a tremor. Now, like anyone with Parkinson's, when someone's anxious or things like that, the tremor becomes a little bit stronger. And the first thing I tell someone after they're newly diagnosed and come to me, I said, well, if you play poker, you're probably not going to be too good anymore. You're going to have to sit on your hands, because when you have a good hand, it's going to shake a little bit. The ones that tend to go kind of by the wayside with people, and some people struggle with these for a while before the Parkinson's diagnosis, is because they don't have that tremor, is there's depression and apathy that comes along with it. And again, in the case of my mother, that was the big thing, is that she was this depression and apathy and anxiety, and they kept trying to treat those symptoms, and until eventually she just she went 2 to 3 years without a diagnosis.
Well,
trying to figure out.
And sometimes for a lot of those, especially those neurological diseases, it is hard to do. It's very challenging to do the diagnosis because it can be lots of different things. In the earlier stages of it, I mean, one of the things about Parkinson's is that slowness of movement, but that comes with people who are clinically depressed, comes with people sometimes as they age, and there are other diseases that it sort of accompany that. So you wouldn't necessarily automatically think, we ought to consider Parkinson's here. So sometimes, like for Parkinson's, MS, some of those, it does take years to actually get the diagnosis, and in the meantime, the person is feeling like, I know something's wrong. I know there's something wrong with me, but that's really hard when you know something's wrong and nobody can tell you what it is, because until you know what it is, you don't know how to treat it.
Exactly.
So,
and a lot of people struggle with that, because then there's also everyone's saying you're fine. What's going on? Why are you depressed? Why is this? Your life is, again, anything that goes along with mental health is, everything looks great. Your life is so great. Why are you depressed? And it's something that you can't control. A story that kind of struck me was, there was a woman who was going through something very similar, couldn't figure out what was going on. She was reading a magazine, and there was an article about Parkinson's disease, and it had a list of like 10 or 15 symptoms on it. And she was reading it, and she goes, I have that. I have the slowness of movement. My muscles are very rigid. My voice is starting to get quieter. The depression, the apathy. And she brought it to her doctor and said, I have all these symptoms. I think I have Parkinson's. And the doctor goes, you know what? Maybe you're right. And they went to a neurologist and found out. And kind of what you were attesting to is that even to this day, there's no real test for Parkinson's.
Yeah.
The best test that they have is they think you have Parkinson's. They give you the medication. If it works, you have Parkinson's. If it doesn't work, you might still have Parkinson's, but probably not.
Yeah.
So, and that's something, again, that's very, very hard for people to grasp onto. And it also creates this, well, this doctor thinks I may have Parkinson's. This one says they're not really sure. And then a lot of people, of course, we want to cling on to the one that says that I don't have Parkinson's. And then it creates another 2 to 3 years of things going on. Yeah. So science is really working hard to find that biomarker to get to a place where they can diagnose it earlier. And then if they can see where it's coming from, hopefully eventually create a cure for it.
Yeah, because they're still unsure triggers, things like that, causes. And that's where you were working with firefighters in the state. And I know that Greg was working with legislators to try to declare that as this is very likely a cause because the incidence of it is higher in groups of firefighters.
Yes. Yeah. And that comes back to really the toxins is the one thing that they're finding that it can be a direct link to Parkinson's. The firefighters exposed to certain chemicals, pesticides have been a large link. And we did something interesting at the Movement Center a couple weeks ago, and we asked everyone what their first job was. And a lot of people from here in the area, and an alarming amount of people worked in tobacco fields for their first job.
I'm guessing it was tobacco.
And that really struck me.
Yeah,
and again, and they were using these pesticides. There was no covering of mouths or anything, and they said, they were standing there as they were spraying them.
Yep.
So wiping it off of their arm.
Yep. I can remember when Dan Knappich was on the show because he worked in the department. I remember him talking about that. He said you'd strap these things onto your back, and you'd be spraying. I mean, he said, you're just like a walking, probably. They didn't know it at the time, and of course they were young. A lot of them were, as you said, first job.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that. And I can remember years ago doing some research on Parkinson's when they were looking at geographic areas. There were certain pockets throughout the country, but again, then they were trying to tie that into, well, why geographically? Well, again, some of it was farming, pesticides, here, tobacco, things like that. So they are trying to come up with, what that root cause, might be. But let's talk a little bit too, Chad, and then we're going to take a short break before we get into what you're doing at the center. So some of the symptoms, we talked about slowness of movement. I mean, it's a muscular, so it's very rigid muscles, which is why it makes it, you'll see people with I always say, when I was teaching at Springfield College, I used to tell my students, if you see someone in the more advanced stages of Parkinson's disease, it's Parkinson's. It's that shuffling gait because because of the muscle rigidity. You don't have that flow of, smoothness of walking and gait and so forth. And there a tendency, when I worked with people with Parkinson's, a lot of bruising in the front because they would, if they did fall, they couldn't get their arms out fast enough to break the fall and catch themselves. A lot of broken noses again, with, some folks with advanced Parkinson's. So I don't, anything else that you can add?
Yeah. So another thing that goes along with that is, and it's a lot of people's first symptoms, and a lot of people realize it after they're diagnosed, is lack of arm swing.
Yes.
So you'll see someone walk.
Yes.
One arm is usually swinging and the other one's not.
Yeah.
And again, that's one of those aha moments where they'll get diagnosed and doctors say, because of the arm swing. And I can almost, of course, I don't go up and say something to people, but there's times in the grocery store where I'll see someone walking and they'll be shuffling a little bit, as you mentioned, and their arm won't be swinging, and it's almost guaranteed Parkinson's. And another very interesting symptom, that's a very early symptom, is micrographia, which is small handwriting.
Yes, you'll see it. It was funny because I had a woman that I was working with when I was working out in Iowa who had Parkinson's, and you could see the progression over the years that I was there when she would sign her name, smaller and smaller, very shaky, because again of that muscle rigidity. And the same thing with their voice.
Yes.
Their voices tends to get like softer and softer and softer because the muscles in their mouth, they can't open their mouth and project as much as they used to do. So lots of different things. And, as you said, like when you start putting those all together, it's pretty a sure bet.
Yeah.
So we've painted not a very good picture, but the great thing is that Chad is here to talk a little bit about what he's doing to kind of help with all this whole process. So we're going to take a short break. It is 7:36. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses. So this is, I'm doing please and thank you songs because it's National Courtesy Month. So this one is
very nice.
Please, Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes. It's a quick song and we'll be right back.
Oh, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, hey, Mr. Postman. Mr. Postman, oh, yeah. Please, Mr. Postman. Oh, yeah.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:40. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And my special guest this morning is Chad Moyer, who is the owner of Dopafit, Parkinson's Movement Center in Southampton. So welcome again, Chad.
Good morning.
So we've been talking about Parkinson's disease, and we've painted a fairly bleak picture, but you are trying to turn this around. So let's talk a little bit. We know now about your background and how you got interested in that combination of fitness and exercise and Parkinson's with your mom's diagnosis. So tell us about the center it's in Southampton, is
yes,
it? Do I have the right town?
It's right across from the Big Y there in Red Rocks Plaza.
Right, exactly. Very accessible, easy to get to, great parking. But tell us, so that's the outside.
Yes.
So tell us what goes on the inside.
What goes on the inside is hope. And like you said, we did paint what could be a bleak picture of Parkinson's disease. And a lot of people, that's the mindset when they get the diagnosis.
Yeah.
I have Parkinson's. What am I going to do? This is terrible. And, sometimes what I say to people is they say, I have Parkinson's, and I say, great, because you know what? You're not going to die from it. Mm-hmm. You're going to live, hopefully, a long time. You're going to make some really awesome new friends, dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
And that's important. And that's why it's always suggested that as soon as, and this is with anything, any disease, the second you find out you have it, the people who I've seen are most successful are the ones who dive in head first.
Yep.
I also let them know, though, that sometimes the people who dive in head first and they're doing everything they possibly can, you do need to take a minute to sit back, because it's going to be hard at times, and the pink cloud is gonna dissipate, and you need to realize that, and you're gonna have down moments, and you're gonna hopefully deal with it, and then have that, because you created that big strong support network in the beginning, that you have some place to go to, and that's the main thing that I think the center has been great for. I of course boast the fact that research-based, that exercise is the best medicine for people with Parkinson's disease. At times, without my, putting my own ego to the side,
that's okay.
I think the group does more for each other than I could ever do for them.
Oh, sure.
100%.
Yeah.
They have lifelong friends that they can call in times of need. They can go out to lunch with and have a carefree lunch where, unfortunately, people do worry if they have a tremor and the soup is shaking and things of that nature. And then at the same time, they're getting what's a great workout, what is a workout specifically designed for their symptoms.
Yep. Things
that are going to help with that rigidity, that slowness of movement, that the inability to make big movements that the Parkinson's causes. And we work on that by over amplifying our movements. We work on our voice by yelling at each other in a good way, but by using those big, strong voices. And these are all things that then, when they aren't at the center and they're out in the quote-unquote real world doing real-world things, that they can be more confident about themselves and about their ability to get out of the chair when they sit down at the restaurant. It's a lot of things we don't think about that we do every single day, get in and out of the chair. We eat soup with no issues, although we may dribble a little down our shirt. It's not where we won't go to a restaurant because we have to do it. And the empowerment that comes from being able to do those things again is like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah, that's just amazing. I mean, just listening to this, because everything that you're saying are all things I've seen with people, and what my experience is that a lot of times as the Parkinson's progresses, people isolate themselves more and more because, as you said, it's embarrassing, to go to a restaurant and you're shaking when you're trying to eat, your soup or whatever, even just your regular meal, or you can't cut your food up yourself, things like that. So those are all things that you're working on at the center, so that people are strong enough, nimble enough, just trying to keep what they have. So I don't know if you can describe. When I went up to the center, I said to Roxanne, "Well, I don't want to go up and just meet chat. I want it to be a field trip. I want to see people in action so that I can see what actually happens there." Which was so. First of all, I think the thing that impressed me the most was I went up there. I don't know. There must have been 15 people or so, but I felt like everybody was doing something different. There were a couple people doing this over here, and then there were a couple people working with a staff person over there, and then there were 3 or 4 people over here. So, obviously it was more tailored to where people are, because when you have a class with people with Parkinson's, it's not like everybody's in the exact same stage of their Parkinson's at the same time with the same limitations. So talk a little bit I'll tell you the one thing that I thought was so cool. A couple of the guys were playing almost like tennis with a beach ball, or a balloon. It was a balloon. And, and whacking it back and forth. Well, because it was a balloon, the balloon goes very slowly. It's not like a ball. And I thought, what a great idea. I was telling my sister-in-law about that because she was trying to come up with some activities for her grandson when he came to visit. And I said, I saw the coolest thing at Dopafit. And I described it because I said, the eye-hand coordination. Well, for like a toddler, she goes, "That's a great idea. I never thought of that." So it just gives a person more time to kind of make the connection and get that arm where it belongs, because there's that slowness of movement. I'll tell you what, I didn't see those guys missing that at all. I mean, they were standing fairly far away from each other, and but great arm movement, great exercise.
And again, those big movements, those large strokes. The interesting thing about those two that I didn't know at the time is that they were both previously tennis players. So, and you may not have seen it, but it basically got to the point where I had an older brother, and there's a point when 2 brothers or 2 men are going at something where it's going to teeter the line before it gets where they might have been rolling on the ground with each other, because they got really, really intense, which was really exciting to see.
Get a little competitive.
Yeah, and then we found out that they both play tennis, and it was great because that was the first time they both picked up tennis rackets in probably 10 years. And the fact that they felt comfortable enough to do it and then to go at it the way they went at it, and then it's helping them and their Parkinson's at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so and this is the fitness industry in general, when you're doing group classes, is making sure that person A gets just as good workout as person B, even though they're in different stages of fitness or the Parkinson's disease progression. And that's where we have the 2 classes is the big thing. And we have our first class from 10 to 11:30 that is for people with better mobility. Could be earlier stages Parkinson's. It could just be someone that was very active prior to their Parkinson's diagnosis. So they've kept a lot of that as well. And then our second group from 12 to 1:30, I think the group you saw, there's some people in wheelchairs and walkers and other people that move well, but they need a little more assistance. And that was the key, I think, to really getting to that point. And then as an instructor is understanding that, again, person A might not be able to do what person B is doing, but every single thing we do, there's 10 different ways to do it. So you just make it accessible to everybody. And it's another great thing when someone who feels that they may not be as strong as person A or person B is doing something very similar, or they get to do it with that person. And, the person who struggles a little more is excited because they're able to keep up, with person. The other person is excited because they're helping somebody else. And that's the big thing that I think I don't want to say took me by surprise, but there's always, if someone's struggling, there's always someone in the group that's going to help that person who's struggling on that day. And you just sit back sometimes and watch what goes on. And it's just it's a really amazing thing. And there's still good in the world. As much as we don't like to think there is still good in the world. Oh,
absolutely. And you know what, Chad, it's really funny because I've talked about this on this show multiple times, numerous times. I'm a firm believer in what I call informal support groups. So groups that come together for one purpose, but there's so much more going on the side here. So you've got a group of people who are coming together to exercise because they all have Parkinson's disease. But don't think for one second that there isn't all kinds of sharing going on in terms of services, maybe in terms of medical professionals who have been helpful, maybe in terms of, housing issues or accessibility issues. There's all of that stuff that happens, at the water cooler afterward, or in the parking lot on the way out or on the way in. And I see it at the senior center. I mean, we have a knitting group, and we have a quilting group, and we have the guys playing pool upstairs. Well, that's what they're all coming, and the card players, but that's what they're coming together for. But there's all this other support going on at the same time that you really can't, it's like the commercial, it's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that because, it's just, there's all of that other stuff, that's all that other good stuff that's happening.
100%.
So you know what, I think we're going to take our last break now, because when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about your staff and who is staffing this other than yourself. And obviously you've got the training and the expertise. So we'll talk about that. We're going to do one more song. This is called Thanks to You by John Denver. So again, for National Courtesy Month.
Not so long ago, I packed my bags 100 times. Didn't seem to know how to stop but to unwind. Going nowhere, a man without a dream. I guess my lucky star fell the day you came along. To my lonely heart, you are like a special song, singing sweetly your tender melody. Thanks to you, the child inside me lives again. Thanks to you, I have found a peace within. I know where I'm going and what I want to do. Thanks to you. Plan to do, knowing anything at all's okay. Life has a meaning, and love has got a name. Thanks to you, the child inside me lives again. Thanks to you, I have found a peace within. I know and what I want to do. Thanks to you, the child inside me lives again, and I have found the peace within. I know where I'm going and what I want to do. Thanks to you.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. Ken's Den, Tuesday, 8 to 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM. Radio for the Westfield Masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. It is Wednesday, September 19th, and I'm in studio with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And Chad Moyer, owner of DopaFit. It is a Parkinson's Movement Center in Southampton. So welcome again, Chad.
Good morning, everybody.
And so we've talked about the diagnosis and a little bit about what you do at the center. Tell us a little bit about your staff, because this is kind of a specialized area. So who's working with you?
Nothing happens without the staff.
For sure.
When I started this, it was myself and my wife helping, and it was great, I thought, but I didn't realize how great it was until I brought even more great people on with me.
Nice.
All of the staff is trained specifically to work with people with Parkinson's. One of our trainers who's newer, Ashley, she's a graduate of Westfield State.
Okay,
so very exciting.
Was she in the movement science? Yeah, exercise science or movement science program. Good.
And she's been working with special populations, and she's also a dance instructor.
Nice.
So we were very excited to bring her on so we can add dancing to the mix of things. So we have a Parkinson's dance class that's happening.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. Parkinson's is still, it used to be 8 to 1. It's about a 6 to 1 male to female ratio.
Yes,
so we have
men.
A lot of men in their 60s and 70s who I don't think even dance at their own wedding, but we have them dancing now, and it's really exciting to see how frustrated they can get, but how happy they are when they figure it out. And then we have a woman, Trisha Enright, who I would say came to me very unexpectedly, and has been a blessing 100%. I mean, she's there 3 days a week. She is absolutely fantastic with everybody. Her background was originally in special education, and I think that someone in that field has a great job at deploying empathy without being sympathetic.
Yep.
And a lot of people can't understand or doesn't make sense to them, but
they confuse the two.
Yeah,
very different. Very different.
It is, especially in the field that we're in, where people need to be pushed. They need to be pushed outside their comfort zone. You have to be able to understand what too far is, but you can't feel sympathetic. You can't feel sad for them.
Right.
You have to put yourself in their shoes, which is what I consider as empathy. And you put yourself in their shoes, and then you realize that you gotta push them a little bit. And she does an absolutely wonderful job at that. She does it with a smile, and she does it with grace. And it's really been a special thing to see the special people that have come along the ride, with us, and it's incredible.
Well, it must be exciting for them as well, when you're doing something and you feel like you're making, and I think people get into those kinds of professions because they do want to make a difference. They want to impact people's lives in a positive way. So, having the opportunity to do that is I think must be very fulfilling for the staff.
Helping people can become addicting.
Yes,
it really can be, and to see the changes and to see not only what it does for the people living with Parkinson's, but also their family members.
Oh, absolutely.
The trickle-down effect is
they don't
just
come.
amazing.
I always say, like, the seniors that I work with, they're not an island. They come with spouses and brothers and sisters and good friends and children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So, that impacts all of those. I mean, we've gotten notes from family members saying, oh, you can't believe what a difference the center has made for my dad. He used to, sit around and just watch TV all day, and now he's doing all this stuff down there. And it's got to be the same for the families that you're working with. Just so gratifying to see their loved ones, participating and pushing themselves, you know, and kind of, as you said, stepping out of your comfort zone. So if people wanted to do what I did, maybe take a trip over there, a little field trip, and just watch and get an idea, would they be able to do that?
Oh, 100%. And the best way to contact is through my phone, to the phone number, which is, so it's still a Connecticut area code. I couldn't get rid of it.
That's okay.
So area code is 203-828-7189. 203-828-7189. And you can check us out online at DopaFit. So that's D as in dog, O, P as in Paul, A, F as in Frank, IT.com. And you can see some wonderful videos on there of what the people are actually doing down there at the center.
Great. I'll have to go and look at the video. So can you just kind of in closing, Chad, let us know, DopaFit. I'm not sure if people outside of the Parkinson's realm would understand the context of that name. It's DopaFit, D-O-P-A, fit. But where did you get the Dopa from?
Yeah, so Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disorder, and it's caused by the dopamine cells essentially dying off. So dopamine, dopa, and then fit for fitness. And so we combine those two things together because, as we know, exercise releases dopamine. And that's the thing that causes people with Parkinson's to have the trouble with movement and things of that nature. So the more dopamine we can give them, the better off they're going to be.
Absolutely. Chad Moyer, thank you so much. I know you've got another commitment this morning. Chad is doing a presentation at the Governor's Center monthly breakfast. So hopefully some of you have signed up for that because that's fantastic. Just a little plug for the Governor's Center. Once a month, they hold a breakfast. It's open to the public. It's free. And as Chad and I were talking about, it's a full breakfast. Yeah. It's not just a few pastries. It's
French
like
toast made to order. I'm really excited about that.
It is so wonderful because I was the presenter there a few months ago, and it was just wonderful. So Chad's going to be talking about his DopaFit program over at Governor's Center this morning. And, we wish you the best of luck with this. I think this is just phenomenal. And for us, it's another resource to put out there to our folks. And it was interesting because about a year and a half ago, I was commenting to someone that I've seen this. I feel like it was sort of this sudden rash of participants at the senior center with Parkinson's disease. I felt like they were sort of all coming at one time, and which was kind of unusual because sometimes you would go months and you might not see anybody, and suddenly, and I don't know why, and I think my thought was part of it was somewhere I'm thinking somewhere they're getting together or meeting with each other, and somebody said, well, I go to the senior center for whatever. I have some of them up playing pool, I have some playing cards, awesome. I have some just come in for lunch, some doing all of the above. So it's just great to have those resources available to them.
They say by 2020 the Parkinson's community is going to double.
Yeah, which is amazing. So we really need to be working on this as a community for programs and services. So thank you, Chad. I just want to remind our listeners that Patrick Berry tomorrow morning is on from 6 to 8. His guest will be Bruce Cordes, who is a Westfield historian. I know last week he had Cindy Gaylord on. So Patrick is really exploring.
Talking about the ghost tour.
Yeah, so Patrick is really exploring. But in talking about the ghost tour, Cindy was talking about a lot of the history as well. Yeah. So I think Patrick's right now he's into that historical Westfield and let's learn about our city. So really interesting stuff. So tune in tomorrow from 6 to 8 when next week my guests will be Vanessa Diana and Hillary McEwen from Run Stanley. We'll talk all about Run Stanley, but we'll also talk about this year's newly added senior stroll. We should try to get some of your folks over there as well.
We have a lot of Westfield residents.
Yeah, I'll give you the flyer for that. So it's just going to be a 1 mile flat, because the race is actually through the trails. It's a cross-country race. But the senior stroll, it's flat. I measured it out myself with my husband, who's a runner. 1 mile, flat. There are places to rest. They'll actually even have a little water station for the seniors.
Oh, good.
So
if they want to do 2 miles, they can do 2 miles?
Oh, sure. They can just do the loop twice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Chad has ambitious people over there. All right, folks, it is 8:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My head this gift would be for me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. 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 If it's a car you like, I'd surely buy you a Cadillac. Whatever you need, any time of the day and night. I'm not ashamed to say no, no. I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take the bow? Yeah, you. When we both get older, with walking games and hair of gray, even though it's hard to hear, I will stand real close and say, thank you for being a friend. 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 Let me tell you about a friend. Ooh, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. And when we die and float away into tonight.